Once again, hello and a very good day to all participants and the speakers here. I am Barija Jareen, an academic advisor at Eton Business School. Let me take this opportunity to introduce Eton Business School and our offerings first. Eton Business School offers executive master's programs, postgraduate diploma, professional diploma, and doctor in business administration to all working professionals. We have more than 1,000 learners and 700 plus active learners at Eton Business School. This includes C-level executives, middle management, and very successful entrepreneurs pursuing their executive learnings from 86 countries across the world. Eton Business School also ensures engaging and enhancing learning journeys. Today, we have gathered here to speak a few words on the International Women's Day. So, we have two speakers here. We will be talking about breaking barriers, empowering women through digitization. So, first of all, let me also take this opportunity to wish everyone a happy International Women's Day. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to introduce our first speaker for today's webinar, Anya Ponton, a property and facilities management expert. Anya's interest in property and facilities management began in 2002 when she joined a leading South African property management company. She has since become a respected figure in her field thanks to her problem-solving abilities and her love for taking on new challenges. As a woman who has achieved great things in her career, Anya's message today is particularly emotional. She will be sharing her insights on the limitless potential of women, drawing from her own experiences to illustrate this point. Anya's journey to her current management position has not been without its challenges. Hence, she will be speaking about some of these challenges and how she overcame them, providing a source of inspiration and motivation to those who may be facing similar obstacles. Despite having reached a certain age and achieved much success, Anya's love for learning remains as strong as ever. She will also be sharing what has motivated her to continue learning and growing, encouraging us to never stop pursuing knowledge and personal development. Please give a warm welcome to Anya Ponton and let us all be inspired by her story and her message. Anya, over to you.
Thank you so much, Parija, and thank you to Eton Business School for this wonderful opportunity. And of course, to all the ladies out there, happy International Women's Day. I'm very honored to have been asked to share some of my experiences with you. So a little bit of background. I was born in Cape Town, South Africa. I know my country has been in the news for all kinds of reasons lately. I am the youngest of 4 children, an older brother and an older sister. And the exciting thing for me was that I was born one of an identical twin. I can literally say that I've never been alone for a second in my life, for the first 9 months at least. I am married, as you can see on the slides there, that's my husband, and I have a son and a daughter. My daughter's a teacher, my son is a scientist, and my grandson, in the photo there, he's 5.5, very proud of him and hoping, of course, to get more grandchildren, as all grandmothers will tell you. So that first slide that you saw is of the Water Club, where I currently work and have been working for the last 15 years. Must be one of the most beautiful places in South Africa and perhaps in the world. You can see there are residential blocks there and a private marina. So, and then just to mention that last slide was a photo of my twin sister. So to everybody out there, I want to say that remarkable things can happen to one, even early in one's life. My experience, when my older sister, whose name is Leslie, was about 8 years old, she went to my mother and said that she would like a baby sister. So my mom, being a registered nurse and a midwife, I think had a good laugh and told my sister Leslie that that was not going to happen. Anyway, not to be deterred, Leslie decided that she not only was she wanting a baby sister, but she wanted 2 baby sisters because the one baby sister would be lonely. So she told my mom that she was going to pray for 2 baby sisters. Well, a few months later, my mom discovered that she was expecting, and of course, it was quite a thing. With them not having planned to have more children. Anyway, my mom took herself off to the doctor. And in those days, of course, there were no sonars and scans and so on. And she said to the doctor that she thought she might be expecting twins. So the doctor listened to the heartbeat of the baby and said, no, only one heartbeat, but decided to send her for an X-ray. And anyway, mom got a call a few days later, please to come to the doctor's rooms, and was a little bit concerned. Anyway, got there, and the doctor showed her this beautiful X-ray of 2 twin girls. And the reason that they couldn't hear 2 heartbeats was that our heartbeats were beating so much in sync that they could only hear 1. So that's just a wonderful story about how I came into this world. I mean, and we have no twins in our families whatsoever before my sister and I, and neither afterwards. So, you know, that's quite a lesson about when one sets your mind to something. My sister was determined she was going to get her twins, and she got them. Okay, so now I just want to chat a little bit about studies and how that transpired in my life. I was a very average student at school. I had no idea what field I wanted to pursue. You know, in those days, there was no Google, there was no LinkedIn, there were no cell phones. If you didn't go and study, you kind of just checked the newspaper and saw if you could see a job in the newspaper, or somebody's auntie's cousin's brother's husband perhaps might have known where one could apply for a job. So my results when I finished high school were not good enough to get a bursary, and my parents were not financially able to send my sister and I to university or to college. So we went out and got jobs. So I think also, you know, not having had the opportunity to explore a career or studies, I just carried on in my job. And I would say that for the first 15 years after I finished school, I didn't really give studies a second thought. I got married just after I left school. And then in the years to come, I had my son and daughter. And then, you know, studies got kind of put aside because I was a working wife, a full-time job, and then looking after kids and so on. So my dreams of studying didn't really make an appearance. Then in, excuse me, in 1997, I'd been working, I'd changed jobs in the meantime and been working in sales, and thought it would be a good idea to study something in sales. So in those days, again, there were no online studies. So I enrolled for a correspondence course for a year. That was all good and well, except that year in 1997, my husband's employer decided to send him across the country to lecture. He was a financial lecturer in the same year that I decided to study. And he spent 9 months of the 12 months away from home, leaving on a Sunday evening and coming back on a Friday evening. So there was I with 2 children, aged 7 and 2, and the 2-year-old did not start sleeping through until he was 3. And with this course that I decided to enroll in. So you can imagine it was quite tough, but I set my mind to it and I decided that under no circumstances was I going to cancel my studies. So I pressed through. I would wait until the kids were sleeping at night, and then I would hit the books and submit my assignments. In those days, you had to post your assignment, and it was handwritten. So thank goodness for modern technology. So that was the first time that I'd really gone into studying something. I passed the course. In hindsight, I'm not convinced that sales management was the field that I was particularly interested in, but anyway, it suited the job that I was doing at the time. So in 2000, we moved to Cape Town from further up in the country. And I was in real estate sales for 2 years with my husband in a partnership. And then we realized that it was getting quite difficult because we both had clients to take out to view homes. And the children were small, they were 10 and 5, and couldn't always leave the small one with the older one while we were out doing business. So I decided to get myself an office job. And that's when I joined the property management company. Wow, what a change in my thinking, what a change in the way I viewed my job. It was so exciting. I found that I had found my niche and the thing that I was really interested in. And that's where my love of property management stemmed from. So I had a look at some worldwide stats, and it's quite interesting that facilities management and property management is not really seen as a career that women should join. I think that is changing somewhat, but I suspect it's because sometimes there's a high level of technical knowledge required in facilities management, and the general feeling is that women are not qualified or have not studied in that direction. But thankfully, that is changing. So the study bug hit me again in 2005, and I decided to enroll for a 12-month course in project management at the University of South Africa. So that was quite an intense course. You might ask, why project management? Well, in my brain, I liked things that have a start and a middle and an end, and project management appealed to me from that point of view. So it was quite challenging because the course was quite expensive, and I had to find financing for that. Unfortunately, my children were older, so I had more time to devote to my studies. But at that time, I'd also become quite involved in my local church, and so that would take up spare time that I had. So I think I just want to say, I've realized that life goes on. So whatever we're doing, there will always be something that can become a stumbling block or something that will get in the way. And it's up to us to decide how to navigate around that. When I started this project management course, I was part of a team of 6 people, 6 students, and we used to meet every week and talk about who was going to do what, because we had to submit assignments on a monthly basis. And that was quite difficult. I'm not sure, well, I'm sure that many of you have studied and been part of groups, and wow, that can work really well, or it can end quite badly, depending on the personalities and the commitment of the students involved. So fortunately, we had quite a strong team, and I was a team captain, so it was up to me to ensure that the assignments got submitted online, at least by then. And but I really enjoyed that course, and I learned a lot from it. So although it wasn't directly related to facilities management, it really gave me a good background for when I had to plan and carry through large capital projects in the future. So since then, I've done other short courses, also not related specifically to facilities management, except the one that I did in 2017, and that was directly related to the job I'm doing at the moment, and that was sectional title, which is a form of ownership of property that I manage at the Water Club. And that really gave me an excellent background to what I'm doing at the moment. I have enrolled for an MBA with Eton Business School, and so I'm looking forward to that. I know it's going to be full of challenges, but I'm very grateful that Eton Business School was able to offer me the opportunity to embark on an MBA. So now to the practical things. Some life lessons and practical advice that I've learned. How to deal with rejection. So ladies and gentlemen, I think we can all agree that life is full of rejection. From the minute you're born till the moment you die, you will be faced with rejection, sometimes on a daily basis. So what I decided in 2000 when we moved to Cape Town, my sister and I, the twin, who had a flexible job, and I was still looking for a job, we decided to get involved in film shoots. Now, bearing in mind, this is not modeling or anything like that. This is more character casting. And so we signed up with an agency and we're waiting to be called to be extras on a movie set. And then the call came in asking if we would like to attend a casting, and never having gone for that before. And that was more to cast people in main roles in adverts. So off my sister and I went to the casting. The brief was that they had to, the women who were being cast had to look Eastern European, because it was going to be an advert that was shot in Russian, and we'd have to say a few words in Russian and so on. Anyway, so to get back to rejection, we walked into this room of about 50 women who all looked more Eastern European than my sister and I. I remember my heart sank. I thought, what am I doing here? I just thought we should just go home and not even waste our time. Anyway, we went for the casting, so that basically you have to give your name and so on. And sometimes they ask you just to show surprise or to show happiness or sadness, just to see if you can show a range of emotions. Anyway, so we went for the casting and heard nothing. And after that, my sister and I did a few adverts as extras. The money wasn't bad. The food was excellent. And then the call came from the casting agency to say that I had landed the lead role in the advert for the bank, for the Eastern European looking lady. Well, you could have knocked me over with a feather. But that's just an example of how I was not rejected. But otherwise, we're faced with rejection all the time, and we need to find ways of dealing with that rejection. And the point I wanted to make was, it's not that there was something wrong with me, that I didn't get a particular role in an advert. It was that I was not the right fit. So what's helped me to process rejection is to tell myself that in that particular situation, I was not the right fit for that. The second point I want to make is one size does not fit all. What works for some people doesn't work for somebody else. So I want to encourage you all, find solutions that work for you. Thirdly, we all suffer setbacks, some major setbacks in life, death in the family, finances, all kinds of things that can happen to us. In 2021, my twin sister was diagnosed with cancer. And I must tell you that I felt like the bottom of my world fell out. I was devastated. And so happy to say that she's went for a bone marrow transplant last year, which appears to have been extremely successful. So she's well on the road to recovery. So it was quite difficult to focus when we got the news. But if one can just reach deep inside and find that inner strength, then you can get through these difficult situations. My faith has really helped me to process things like this. And so I would encourage you to find faith or something that is going to help you to process these things in life. Another point is you are allowed to have more than one goal. I've heard people say, well, you must just focus on your main goal in life. Well, for me, it hasn't really worked out that way. So I feel that when one has achieved a lot of little goals, that might be the last stepping stone to get you to your main goal. So I want to encourage you, don't see small goals as less of a victory. See them as a stepping stone towards your ultimate goal. Another thing that I found very useful was to keep up to date with the trends and the information in my industry. So that means doing research, using Google, using LinkedIn, attending courses that will equip you to do your job better. I think that's so important to keep on learning. Because as we know, knowledge really is power. Time management is another thing. When people used to say to me, you must work on your time management, I used to flinch because I don't know if any of us really want to face the fact that we have to manage our time well. That has worked well for me. I try and get things done and set time aside to do certain other things. So for me, working, planning my life really helps me to get things done. I'm about to wrap up. Don't be scared to ask for help from trusted friends or from family. It's so important. When we went through this cancer scare, well, not a scare, with my sister, our family really rallied together. And so I want to encourage you, just ask for help when you need it. Then my quote, I have a quote from Frank Sonnenberg. People can't hear what you don't say. Thinking isn't communicating. Now, I know that my spouse sometimes would say things like, well, you should know. And bottom line is, I don't think any of us can read minds. I'm not sure if Eton Business School offers any mind reading courses. I'd love to enroll if you do. But that's the thing. People can't hear what you say. So it's important to communicate. And then lastly, take care of yourself. There's a worldwide trend these days to look after not only your body, but to look after your mind, to look after your soul, to look after your spirit. Really, it's so important because any kind of studies or anything that you're doing over and above what you're normally doing is putting extra pressure on your whole system. So it's important, get enough rest and all those things. So in conclusion, I just want to encourage you all. You are not too old and it's not too late. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Anya. Thank you so much. That was indeed a source of inspiration and motivation. So, dear participants, the forum is now open for question and answers. So, if you have any questions that you would like to ask from Anya, please you can use the question and answer tab and you can write your questions and we will take it forward. So, Anya, we have a thank you note for you from Joshita. So she says, "Hi Anya, thank you so much for sharing your insights. I applaud your determination to continue pursue education, which is the strongest weapon to change the world."
Oh, thank you so much, Jashita. Thank you.
And another prize for you. It says insightful and inspiring. Thank you, Anya, one more time.
Thank you so much.
All right, thank you so much for your wishes, everybody, and your praise. We've got,
There's an hand up. I don't know if you can see it, Barija.
sorry?
Someone has raised their hand up.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know
Yes.
if we can unmute them, maybe
Okay.
to ask their question.
We cannot unmute for the moment. So if you have any
Okay.
questions, please put it on the Q&A section. So we have one question. How can I be kind to myself after rejection?
Wow, that is a tough one. I think again the answer is to find something deep inside that you can hang on to, that can give you hope. And in my case, as I said, that was my faith. And also to surround yourself with people that will support you and encourage you, and just to try and create an environment where positivity is, abounds, instead of surrounding yourself with a lot of negativity. It is a difficult thing to do, and rejection goes very deep, and sometimes it just kind of is a rejection on a rejection, and that's what triggers it. But if I could give some advice, that's what I would try and do. Try and find your faith to keep you strong, and surround yourself with people that can keep you positive and motivate you.
Thank you. And a couple of people have asked, is this webinar only for women? No, anybody can join this webinar. Okay, so on that note, let's move on to the second part of the webinar. So let me take this opportunity to introduce our second speaker for today's webinar, Francisca Kilo. So right, so Francisca has been a banker for the last 17 years, serving in senior sales leadership roles in both international and local banks in Kenya since 2009. Currently, she is the head of the direct sales team in one of the top banks in Kenya. As a successful woman in the banking sector, Francisca has a deep understanding of the importance of protecting women's rights and girls' rights. She will be sharing her insights on the need to digitize opportunities for women and girls, while also emphasizing the crucial role of protecting their rights. Francisca will also be speaking about what it takes to be a woman in leadership, sharing her own experience, challenges, and aspirations. As a mother of three and a wife for the last 19 years, Francisca also runs a Uber business, a driving school, and a credit services in Nairobi. In addition, she is a brand ambassador for over 5 global Instagram online fashion stores selling through network marketing. Throughout her career, Francisca has achieved many milestones in Kenya and globally under the umbrella of the UN 17 SDG. Her passion for women's empowerment and her dedication to creating a better future for all will surely inspire us. Please join me in welcoming Francisca Kilu to this webinar. Francisca, over to you now.
Thank you so much, Barija. Thank you everyone for joining the call. For me, I'm so humbled to take part and participate in this event because it does speak to my heart, so to speak. And so before I go into the agenda for today, I want to start us by bringing us home. And I'm going to ask Barija to play a short video about a women village in Kenya. Umoja Women Village.
Kenya put women's rights at the forefront of national dialogue.
Around the world, there is a tradition of repressing women, treating women and girls as second-class citizens. Those are bad traditions. They need to change. There's no reason that young girls should suffer genital mutilation. There's no place in civilized society for the early or forced marriage of children. These traditions may date back centuries. They have no place in the 21st century.
While the world has just taken note, 25 years ago, a group of fed-up women led an exodus and took matters into their own hands to free themselves and started a movement in the Samburu region, creating the first village where no men were allowed. The establishment of Umoja was an inspiration to many women in neighboring villages who have risen up to take control of their local governments. So we traveled to Kenya to road trip through the Samburu district and see what life is like in a matriarchal society. We are on our way to the Umoja village, which is an all-female village which started in 1990 by a woman called Rebecca. Rebecca Lola Soli is the matriarch of the Umoja Women's Village and an advocate for women's rights. Growing up as a member of the Samburu tribe, she married at the age of 18 and began speaking up about helping women who were victims of rape by British soldiers training near her home. Local men, angered by her vocalism, beat her until she was hospitalized. When her husband did not protest the beatings, she left him, and along with several other women who were survivors of violence, established the Women's Village of Umoja. What was once solely a safe haven for women has now become a globally known example of a successful matriarchy. The internet has put Umoja firmly on the map. And now people travel far and wide to come and see how the land of no men thrives in the region of Samburu. I think that was our welcome, and what a welcome! Just get a cup of tea at my house, that's it. So far it's got super nice, everything seems really idyllic. Did you see the welcome though? Oh my gosh. Every single one can sing as well. Every single one of them ladies can sing. So we're about to have a sit-down chat with Rebecca, and hopefully she's gonna explain to me how Umoja came to be, the pros and cons of living in an all-female society, and just shed some light what life is like here in Umoja village. Hi, Rebecca.
That's how the house look like.
Ah, nice.
This is now the big bedroom. That's the small bedroom. It's the kitchen. This is our sitting room.
Thank you, Barija, for that short video. And I would like to just comment on the relationship between this story of Umoja Women Group. It's a village of women that was created 30 years ago by Rebecca. And as you have heard, it now serves as a safe haven for women running away from injustices such as women genital mutilation. So when I look at the story of Umoja village, and we can go to the next screen, Barija. The history of International Women's Day, I see the problems of women is just the same, irrespective of where we are. These are women who were marching, fighting about women's rights 100 years ago, that is 1911. And today we have a village of women who are living in a safe area, which they have created themselves, trying to pass the same message, fighting for their rights. So the UN has been in the forefront of advocating for women empowerment. This is one of the milestones that we are enjoying. And when you look at the one of the key highlights that I managed to pick, one of the goals of the UN through its 17 Sustainable Development Goals is to have promote gender equality and empower women. So let's talk about what is gender, what is women empowerment. So women empowerment is promoting women's self-worth and their ability to determine their own choices and their rights to influence social change for themselves and others. And while I'm on this, allow me to say this, it begins at home. For me, when I grew up, I was born in a family of 6 daughters and 3 brothers. My father was a businessman and my mom was a farmer. And there's one mantra that I got from my father that I can say is what has shaped me to be the person I am today. And my father used to say, it is the female lion that goes out there to hunt food for the family. And what I got from those words of my father, and I remember on this day, is that a woman is supposed to be independent, and a woman is also supposed to be a person that can be dependent upon. So when we speak about digitization, and I can just talk about what digitization is, and then we connect how is digitization going, playing a major role in women empowerment. Digitization basically is the process of changing the form of what was analog into computerized or digital form. For example, if you take you scan a form, a document, which was already only on hard copy, and now you put it on digital, you can now share it. So that is what digitization means. And I'm going to highlight some of the key areas that women can now leverage on towards making use of the digital era and empower themselves. So let me use an example as I look at this picture. For me, I grew in an upcountry area whereby you would walk to school, and by the time you go to high school, you would have to go to a boarding school. And in these days, as a girl, being diagnosed with a pregnancy was worse than being diagnosed with a killer disease. I remember those days the first thing before you go to the boarding school, you were being checked that whether you are pregnant. And it was a horror experience, because if a girl was found to be pregnant in those days, it actually meant your future has been shattered. First, you would be isolated, as you'll be seen as a bad influence. And second, you would miss your opportunity to go back to school. In fact, you'll be now forced to go look for a husband, whether the father of the kid or any man you find. So that was like the end of you. I actually had one of my best friends who went that route, and today she was not able to pursue her education because she actually got pregnant. And when I look at where we are today, and we saw this during COVID-19 pandemic, children were able to be schooled from home. My sons were able to join their classes online from a distance. So we are coming to an age where we are saying we don't need to see girls dropping out of school because they are going through a natural process. Let me call it that way. Women have been victims of being disadvantaged because they are going through a natural process, such as getting pregnant. Allow me to share some data which speaks to this. According to World Vision report, which they have shared on their website, 750 million women today in the world were married before the age of 18. 1 in every 5 women have experienced physical or sexual violence in the last 12 months. 23.7% of women are occupying political positions. That means on an average below 30% of women representation in leadership roles. And therefore, those are some of the issues that we are trying to address today as a community and globally. So I'll talk about education, and then I'll highlight about entrepreneurship. I got an opportunity to work closely with women in business in Kenya in my banking career. And I've seen us moving from people having to go to the bank to access money. So what I'm trying to say is women should seize these opportunities. In Kenya, we have mobile banking. We have our M-Pesa, which is the digital platform where people can transact anytime. And therefore, irrespective of their size of business, we call this mama mboga. Mama mboga is the Swahili word meaning women who sell groceries. So as they transact through their mobile phones, these women are able to build a financial history or a statement, which they can also use to access credit and grow their business. So I think I'll just highlight those top two for me that women can really leverage on. So, Parija. So allow me to just highlight a few successes that women have shown that they can contribute towards empowerment. I will talk about Lupita Nyong'o. I've just highlighted one of inspiring quotes. She said, no matter where you are from, your dreams are valid. Lupita Nyong'o is one of the award-winning actress who also believes in humanitarian activities. She is an icon that has evidence that we can indeed, women can have self-awareness and self-worth. And this is what it takes for a woman to be able to break the barriers. Passion and vision and a purpose is what follows through. Before you have this awareness, you cannot talk about the vision and purpose. From where I sit, I can say, if I didn't have passion in what I do, I would not have beat some of the challenges that we are facing as women. So we have to find a way of, and I like the question that was asked earlier about how do I deal with rejection? I think what I want to say is you must find your why. And for me, my why was my kids, my children. When I became a mother, I found this as a reason for me to be more committed to my goals, because I knew at the back of my head, there's someone looking up to me. So you have to find your why. And once you find your why, then you're able to have that commitment and to be able to keep improving yourself. For me, I just say every day I am in a journey of becoming a better version of myself. So I want to look at another success story of Professor Wangari Maathai. Professor Wangari Maathai was the first woman to obtain a PhD in East and Central Africa. She founded a movement called the Green Belt Movement here in Kenya that encourages women to plant trees and to protect natural resources. So women can actually learn from my example that you can advocate for global issues. So when I look at these women, I also see the abilities to speak up. Earlier in the morning, I was fortunate to join another call similar to this one, which was organized by my employer. And it was a women call only, not like this one. This one is for us, men and women. We only had one gentleman, the group CEO, who was now addressing the women. And something I picked, and he was challenging us as women. Sometimes we don't speak up. Even when the opportunities are there, we don't speak up, we don't come up to say, I want to take that challenge. He also challenged us that we have to overcome some of the programming that were taken through. When I grew up, where I came from, there's some of the songs that I used to listen to. They used to, in my village, they used to sing some songs that, were supposed to put women as secondary people. So those are things that have programmed our minds to think a woman cannot lead. This is not a woman thing. So we have to have the ability to unlearn from those programmings. So the next success story I want us to talk about is Mother Teresa. Mother Teresa was the founder of the Order of Missionaries of Charity, a Roman Catholic congregation, and she dedicated her whole life to the works of charity. And we see a lot of women today, even outside the mission and the church, a lot of women have actually aligned themselves because of our example and our abilities to speak words that inspire. Today, we have so many quotes that she spoke to pass a very strong message. When you look at this, it's just a one sentence that means a lot. It has a deep message that small things done with great love will change the world. It's not necessarily the big things we do. And for me, I have a mantra where I say, I don't have to change the world, but I can change the world for one person at a time. So it is the small things that we do every day. So if you know someone, I have my own timings when I call some people to just check on how they are doing, and they get shocked. How come you called me? And I tell them, there is one day my aunt called me and I was going through a difficult period. And for me to imagine that she just called to check on me at that time, I said, I'm challenging myself. I'll always create time to call some people to know how they are doing and to even see, is there anything I can do to help the situation? So I think I'm headed to my last slide. And I just want to tell you about the lady on your screen. I know Barija gave you a very big introductory about the person I am. But I just want to give you a brief story of the person you are speaking to and the lady on the screen. This is my parting shot to you. A strong woman with a smile can be a symbol of resilience, confidence, and positivity. If you look at my social media today, you will see I use my platforms, at least 5 channels, to talk about wellness. I create and design some posters to talk about wellness because I'm aware there are people who are going through some things that they don't talk about, and therefore I'm passing a message. You can talk about it. 10 years ago, I was diagnosed with depression. And at this time, as Barija mentioned, I was already working for the bank because I started working for the bank in my early 20s. So I was a banker, I was a mother, and I was a student. I was trying to now study my first degree, and I'm here hospitalized with depression. So long story short, I've been able to pull through this journey of healing with the support. I want to tell you there's a support system in place. You just need to speak up. My big sister got me one of the best psychiatrists in the country who walked the journey with me. And you won't believe where we started. So apart from the medicine and the sessions with the counselors and the therapists, he told me, Francisca, I want to look at your CV. What are your hobbies? Because one major cause of depression is when you are being pulled so much away from the person you are. And I was this woman who wanted to be everything. I wanted to please everybody. I'm that person who wants to see whatever I'm doing is working. And during the course, I lost the balance. And let me tell you what was my turning point. Someone took a photo of me when I was in the hospital. My kids were coming to visit me, and my son, my last born son, was only 8 months. He was actually supposed to be breastfeeding. And this time he was in the care of a house help. And that was my turning point. I told myself, have you ever had a conversation with yourself? I'm not going to allow myself to stoop this low again. I am going to stand firm. These kids need me. My sons need me, not just now, 20 years to come. They need me as their mother. And so therefore, I want to say, you can overcome those challenges you're going through. The institutions that I've worked for were able to support me. My former employer had even a wellness department. I would be given sometimes, I'll be given sometimes lighter duties. And within a year, I was back on my feet and went back to school. So as I talk to you today, I just want to challenge you before I hand over back to Parija. If you are a woman, please keep smiling, because in my 40s, I'm finding the balance of saying, I don't want to change the person I am because of the things that I've gone through, but I want to work on myself to become a better version of myself every day. So Barija, I think now we can take any questions and reactions. Thank you so much.
That was emotional. Thank you, Francisca, for sharing your experience. Surely, surely it's an inspiration. We will take on that
Thank
challenge.
you. Yes.
Yes, we do have a few questions for you.
Yes.
So let's start with the first question. Is the lack of empowerment an equality issue or an equity issue?
Wow. I think I want to also welcome my colleague to try and help me with that one. Anya, do you want to give it a try before I go?
Wow, putting me on the spot, Francisca.
We are together in this.
Yes. I'm not quite sure. Yeah, I didn't really have an opportunity to think about it too much.
It's a tough question. But let me say what I think about the lack of empowerment. From where I sit, I don't think it's an issue of equality or equity. I remember I said it starts from home, and I think it's about personal responsibility. There are some majority of the women who are not empowered, have not gone out to create the awareness, to seek for the opportunities. So the challenge starts with us. Before we blame the society, I believe 80% of the work, it's personal effort. That's my thought on that.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing your thought on that. We have the next question. What concrete steps can we take to advance women's empowerment?
Okay. Anya, I know you spoke a lot about that.
So I think we just need to understand that we don't need to stand back for anybody, not for men and even not for other women. We really need to dig deep and focus and clearly see the way forward, where we want to be and where we want to go. And I could just mention something quickly that has helped me, is that, people make New Year's resolutions. I didn't really believe in that. But I found that if I start the year off and I write down a whole lot of goals, they don't all have to be big goals. They can be small goals, any size goals. And then regularly have a look at your list of goals. You'll actually be amazed how sometimes or many times you've reached those goals without consciously working on them. But I think it's important to stay focused.
Okay. So for me, what would be my take? I think it depends, because women go through different stages in life. As a woman who has gone through depression, and now being extra careful in terms of finding the balance, I focus on wellness, and I give myself priority. So I do have my top 3 areas of wellness. The first one is in my spiritual wellness. The second one is my intellectual wellness, and the physical. So every day I have my own routine that touches on those wellness areas. So I don't know whether that responds to that question, but currently that is what is working for me.
Thank you both for sharing your thoughts on it. And I think that those thoughts add on to gives the answer for the next question as well. So the next question is, what advice do you have for people who want to do more? So you shared a few tips over there. So let's move on to the few reactions. Okay.
Mhm.
So thanks for the presentation. It's worth the time and my data. One says.
Thank
And
you.
Katie says, "Wow, beautiful journey. I will keep smiling."
Thank you.
And we have a next question. Okay, with a reaction. Francisca and Anya, very inspiring stories you both have shared. So, Miss Francisca, my question to you is, have you ever faced hatred or rejection for supporting or speaking up for women?
Wow. Yes, a lot of time I've dealt with that, especially on my digital platforms. Luckily, I'm able to manage in a way that if someone is giving me a rejection and I don't know them, what I do is I do not allow it to affect me, because what you need to understand with people speak from their own perspective. So I don't want to be distracted by someone who is thinking in a perspective which is different from mine. So what I do is I focus on what I'm doing. If I'm sharing inspiration, if I'm encouraging women, today I get more of positive feedback, and therefore the negative ones, I do not allow it to affect me or distract me.
Very well said. Thank you. We have another question. So, the world population is just above 49% women, but this does not translate to higher percentage in political leadership. Where are we going wrong, perhaps? Any thoughts?
Okay. Yes, I think I spoke to that. One of it being some beliefs in the society. I can just give you an example of where I come from. Only very few women have been able to go for political aspirations, because there are these beliefs that women should go for certain careers. They should do HR, I think they should do nursing. They are more of servants. So for me, one of the things that has helped me get out of that victim mindset is because I'm a salesperson. In sales, you deal with rejection, or you deal with a lot of people, and there's a lot of exposure. So I think that's what would be my response on that.
Thank you. So
Unless
we,
Anya wants to add something.
oh, sure, sure.
So perhaps I could just say that what I've noticed is that often we as women are underestimated. But I think there's a way to get around that, because if you are being underestimated, then the person who's underestimating you is not going to expect your reaction to that, which is a bit of it's a good card to have up your sleeve, so that they're not exactly sure how you're going to react to the situation. So I don't really mind if people underestimate me anymore, because I know that whatever the way in which I'm going to respond is going to probably catch them off guard and surprise them. And especially what you were saying, Francisca, about, women are supposed to be in certain jobs and not kind of strive to do anything too difficult, perhaps, or too complicated or too technical. And I enjoy that challenge. So I am on the ground, as it were, with my staff, I like to find where the pipe's leaking. I like to see where the electrical short is. I can hack into our CCTV system, all those kind of things. So I think it's also up to us to find the way in which we can deal with that. I think a lot of this is coming back to how to deal with rejection.
Thank you so much for adding your thoughts. Yes. We have a few praise and reactions. So Joshita says, thank you so much for inspiring us, Francisca. It's a pleasure knowing you and journeying with you.
Thank you.
Okay, we have Bettina. So she says, I'm Anya's twin sister. What an excellent webinar, both speakers. Thank you for being so vulnerable and real. That speaks to me on a deep level and is so encouraging and inspiring.
Thank you.
Okay, so we have a few more reactions. That was really nice. Thank you, ladies. Thank you so much. Very uplifting. Um, and let's see if we have any more questions. Okay, okay. Good day. This is awesome. So, what is your view about synchronicity in your pursuit of for wellness?
Sorry, I didn't get that.
Okay. What is your view about synchronicity in your pursuit for wellness?
Wow. This is one of those past moments, because maybe they can expound what do they mean by the word synchronicity. If they can expound a bit, I can be able to respond.
Okay, so
Yeah.
we have that question from SBU. So I'm sorry, I'm not able to pronounce your name. So if you can explain that a little more further, she will take your question.
Yes.
So let's move on to the next. We have few more questions. Okay, Francisca, do you experience resistance when you are leading men? How do you deal with it?
Wow, I saw that one coming. Yes, on first, not in very many cases, because I'm also very particular on how I deal with people, because once I became a leader, I went to learn about leadership and people skills. So the way I manage ladies is different. I try to lead people as individuals, but on cases that I found those challenges, because I'm in the corporate world, I am able to address them using the company policy. And some of them would be failing to just acknowledge you because you're a woman. So when you're leading men, you want to be careful how you communicate with them, because I'm aware of the beliefs in the society. So if you stick to the agenda of, when we are at the work environment, we have guiding principles that help us not to have those issues and conflicts. That's what I can say. I've not had much of that, because we have a clear guideline on how to work and values that help us avoid those conflicts.
All right, thank you so much. So we have an explanation on the question, previous question. So
Yes.
he means your state of spiritual and psychological effect in balance the outside noises in your overall wellness.
Okay. So now that is the question again. We can rephrase the question in relation to that.
Okay, so what is your view about synchronicity in your pursuit for wellness?
Okay. Wow. I think what is working for me is gratitude. First, most people who are having issues with wellness, mental wellness, are people who have gone through some challenges. It doesn't just happen, or so you have to study yourself, understand yourself first, then come up with a roadmap of how you are going to overcome. And it's a process. And as I said, you are not walking this journey alone. You have to work with some professionals. People who are also, I follow a lot people who have gone through the same problem, especially using the online. There are people who speak up about their journey with the depression. And when you kind of join these communities, then it becomes easier for you. So it's not a journey that you walk alone. There is your role to play because you have to go out there, get help, speak to the right people, and open up about it, and then come into yourself and understand what are my weaknesses, what are my strengths, and how can I embark on this journey. I hope I've addressed that question.
Thank you so much. Anya, do you have anything to add to this?
I think I'd just like to echo what Francisco has said. For me, I am part of a very close-knit church community, and we have a prayer ministry department where members of the public and the church can come to for prayer, and I'm on that team. But even team members also need help, and so I have that option of going to those colleagues of mine for some prayer ministry from time to time. So I think it's important, as you've also said, Francisco, we need to surround ourselves with a support system of some kind, or even more than one support system. You know, that old saying, it takes a village to raise a child. Well, I think it takes a village to raise children until adulthood and until, you know, we take our last breath. So I think it's an ongoing process. It doesn't stop when the children grow up.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So with that, let's come towards the end of the session. And we have a two more comments. So great session. Hoping to catch more of these in future. Beautiful webinar and so informative. Thank you, ladies. You inspire us. So once again, thank you so much, and Anya and Francisca, for addressing this gathering. It was a great pleasure for me hosting you. And okay, let me wrap up with surprise or something from Eton Business School to all the participants here. So we would like to give a scholarship or a special benefit for International Women's Day to the participants. You can upgrade your career in collaboration with Eton Business School. So if you're already in touch with any of the academic advisors, this is the right time for you to grab the enrollment or the master's or the doctorate seat. So block your seat right now through this International Women's Day offer. You will get to know more and more about this offer through your academic advisor. If you're not connected with any of the academic advisors, don't worry, we will get connected with you right after this webinar. You can drop your emails here, or we will also connect with you as a on a follow-up email. So this special benefit is valid only till 12th of this month, which is in the next 4 days. So get in touch with your academic advisors and upgrade your career with us. So once again, thank you so much for everyone, and happy International Women's Day. Thank you.